The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Chip Roy from Texas 21, and I'm standing outside the House chamber where next week we are going to move, thanks to the leadership of the Speaker and Leader Scalise, we're going to move H.R. 7296, the Save America Act, legislation that I filed over here in the House and that my friend Mike Lee filed in the Senate. This is common sense legislation. It will require citizenship to register to vote, and it will require voter ID at the polls. This is an issue that polls at something like 80%, regardless of your race, regardless of your background. This is common sense stuff that we think we should move. The SAVE Act, by the way, has passed on a bipartisan basis twice off of the House floor. The problem is Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have been blocking it. So now we're calling on Leader Thune to change this and to force what we call a talking filibuster so that we can force a vote on the Senate floor. We think we can. I'm over in the Capitol Dome room. Across the other side of the dome is the Senate. When we pass this in the House, let's make the Senate do their job and pass the Save America Act. God bless America.
God bless America is right, and good luck with that, because the Senate Democrats do not want him to move despite all the evidence that the American public overwhelmingly wants this. We will have a lot more on that. Of course, the other big story that is still roiling the news media is the ape story, which we're in day 2 of that. And Donald Trump, you read the headlines today, Trump refuses to apologize over video. And that headline is not exactly what the framing of the real story is. He says he didn't make a mistake. He was asked if he condemned it. Yeah, I do. And he pinned the blame on a junior staffer, said he didn't see the whole video. So it's not like he refused. Anyway, we'll get to all of that. It is the Saturday morning vibe already. The Saturday morning radio extravaganza. I am Bo Snerdley, James Golden. If you want to be part of the program, 800-848-9222 is how you reach us. 800-848-9222. Coming up on today's program, looking forward to catching up with our very own Lizzie Rattoballi. Looking very much forward to catching up with our own Princess Diana. Looking very much forward to catching up with America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. And I am looking forward to catching up with you. Again, the number 800-848-9222. So, I spent the entire program yesterday. I do want to get to the voting stuff, but let me just, the SAVE Act, because it's important. And the way the Democrats are framing this is insulting beyond belief. But I do want to talk about the ape story, the Obama as apes. I don't know whether many of you know that this meme, which has caused so much frustration, which, by the way, I was disgusted by it. I am disgusted by it. I am unsympathetic to the argument that it is a staffer. If it's a staffer indeed that did this, the staffer should have been fired. I said that yesterday. Other people are saying it. But just so you know, and this isn't highlighted in many of the other stories, the Obamas were not the only ones depicted in this long video, which we only see a snapshot of on the post that was made. The post shows the picture of Barack Obama, former President Obama, and his wife Michelle depicted as apes, which is highly offensive. Why is it offensive? It is offensive because this is a racial trope that has been used as long as black people have been in America and in the Americas. And it was used because it was convenient to not recognize the humanity of black people and instead refer to them as little more than other primates, apes. And that was a common racist trope that has been used now for centuries. And it hasn't just been used against black people. When Abraham Lincoln was in office, some of the Democrat liberal publications of the day portrayed him as an ape. That's the equivalent of saying he was an N-word lover. So it has a long history, and it's not a good history. It might interest you to know that Obamas weren't the only ones that were caricatured as apes. Biden was caricatured as an ape in this thing as well. Biden's and some others. It's a long meme that basically is taken off of a long post. It's taken off of supposedly that king of the jungle business. Trump is the lion, everybody else is the ape. It is, the condemnations are, of course, everywhere, as they should be. Condemnations, however, in this country go one-sided. There are other things worthy of condemnation that get none. But I want to, before we get to the moral equivalency of what is outrageous and what is not to some people, I just want to say that this is something that is not only beneath the dignity of the White House, it is beneath the dignity of any politician, regardless of party, to actually contribute to this. I really do believe that. I believe that. Now, do I get my feelings hurt? No, I don't get my feelings hurt. I've been called every name in the book, as I said yesterday. And so I look at these things and I just say, man, that's really sad. That's really disgusting. The president, again, speaking on Air Force One, said he just looked at the first part of it. It was about voter fraud in some place, Georgia. I didn't see the whole thing. He said he gave the link to someone else to post. I gave it to people. Generally, they look at the whole thing, but I guess somebody didn't. No, I didn't make a mistake. Well, the White House made a mistake, and you run the White House. And a mistake is the best way to do it. And so did I expect an apology? No, because apologies in this day and age are deemed in the political world, very often deemed as a sign of weakness. I think that what many Americans expect and want, look, Trump is Trump, okay? And those of us that support this president, support the policies of this president, the support is based on his brashness. Let's not run away from that, on the fact that he's willing to take the fight back to Democrats and liberals in ways that Republicans who have put their tails between their legs and cowered for 40 years have been unable to do. And that's why so many people love Donald Trump. That's why so many people love his presidency. Doesn't mean he's right about everything. And I think that this is a really bad mistake. But I also want to say something else. I don't think this helps the arguments that we're making policy-wise. I think when everybody's trying to beat you down in the mainstream press because they're your political enemies, the mainstream press are Democrats, they're liberals. And this constant drumbeat of white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy, white nationalism, white supremacy. And then you add to that how your policies are being depicted in those mainstream press outlets, that you're trying to just enforce federal immigration law is a byproduct of white supremacy, ignoring the fact that the overwhelming number of people that have come into this country illegally are brown or black. That's just a fact. So if you deport the people that are here, most of them that are going to go home are going to be brown or black, because overwhelming numbers, that's who crossed the border illegally. But it doesn't help your case when you're trying to make policies that are the best thing for the country, that many overwhelmingly has a lot of support. And then you get this kind of thing, and there's not even acknowledgement that, hey, something was wrong here. And there's a lot of anger over this. And that anger is, in some cases, justified, because what we're not getting is, not only was this a mistake, it was an egregious mistake. It should have never happened. That's what you say. It should have never happened. You have to, even if you don't want to apologize, because, one of the things about apologies when they come from politicians, you just think they're apologizing to just get the poll numbers back up. You doubt the sincerity of the apology. I don't even want an apology. Just an acknowledgement. It's a horrible mistake. Should have never happened. It won't happen again. And not that the criticism of it is going to be done. I'm going to just tell you something else, just one other thing, and then I'll give up on this for the day. I spent all day on it yesterday. I want to move on to other things, but... Well, we do have some audio bites about this. Hakeem Jeffries, Stephen A. Smith went off on it. The whole Democrat Party, every Democrat congressman you can think of are doing it. And these are the same Democrats, by the way, who preside over, in some cases, American ghettos where black kids can't get an education, can't live in safety, Hispanic kids too, who are oppressed by the Democrat Party and have been with the legacy of the Democrat Party for centuries in America. And they're some of the loudest voices here. So the focus is on the meme, not on what is actually happening in the neighborhoods and what their culpability and responsibility is. So there's that part of it, which is also infuriating. But I want to one day see a country, this America, where black people can just live without having to be insulted. That's all, And by the way, for those of you that insist on insulting other people, fine, whatever, I don't care. But I'm talking about what I'm talking about is, and then we got to get to a break. I remember when Richard Pryor, who used to use the N-word all the time, went to Africa for the first time in his life. And he said it blew his mind. He talked about it a great deal, how to just walk in a country and see black people there, everybody with their head up high, no unease, no whatever. Now, I get the people that don't experience what life in America is like. For a lot of black people, won't understand the meaning of that. But I'm telling you, every black person that heard that understood what he was talking about. And this America is our country too. We're not inferior to anybody. Our ancestors, our mothers, fathers, great-grandfathers, granddaddies, aunts, aunties, uncles, our family histories are just as tied up in the United States of America as anybody else's. This is our country too. We are not inferior to anybody. We are not apes. We are not monkeys. We are human beings. And it would be nice to be respected as being human beings and being part of the American experience, just like everybody else who has a legitimate right to call themselves America. And when you say, which is so egregious, I didn't agree with Obama's policies at all, but Obama made it to the top position in the United States of the United States of America. This is what we all say. One day, child, you can be president. Well, Obama made it to be president. And what these memes do, and one of the reasons it's so offensive, is what they say to black people is, no matter how high you make it, you can make it to the pinnacle of the American dream, and you and your wife are still nothing but apes to us. You're still just primates. You're lower than us. It is horribly offensive. That message. And so I'm not just going to brush it off, and so many other people are not just brushing this off. Because this is just straight up wrong. And for the White House not to just say it was straight up wrong, shouldn't have happened, is an embarrassment. Yeah, on that note, my friends, we'll move on to other things. But if you want to comment on it, help yourself. So,
The James Golding Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golding Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Most people don't want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If borders don't matter, neither does who stole the land. You got to pick one.
Oh, there's still so much going on around about the Billie Eilish remarks. Adam, we may have to hold you on through the break if you don't get finished with your point, but I want to get started now on some phone calls, and then later we're going to get to this election stuff. Can't wait. Adam from Long Island. Always a pleasure. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Snerdley.
How you doing?
I like the things you just said, man. That's why I like listening to you, because you really hit home when you said this is our country too. I was going to talk about Minnesota, but that disgraceful thing that the Trump team did, that really got to me, man. I'm glad you.
It got to a lot of people.
And I agree. Yeah.
And by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, you still support Trump? Of course I still support Donald Trump. Of course I do. I still support the policies of Donald Trump. And by the way, one other thing I'll say, if you're looking for any politician to invest in that is going to be perfect, you're looking in the wrong place. If you're looking for most human beings that are going to be perfect, without flaws, without sin, you're looking in the wrong place. You know, there were so few among us, and we know who they are, and I don't have to get spiritual too much about it. Perfection is a rare thing among beings that walk around in mortal shells.
I agree, sir. I set my clock up to talk to you in the morning. I do.
You do? I love it.
You know?
Man, oh man. Well, let me just ask you to hold on, too, because I want to hear what you want to say about Minnesota. And because that story is still out here. So, Adam, don't go away. Don't go away. Stay right there. All right. So, folks, here's what. I gotta play something for all of you that I'm waiting, that I discovered last night. But we're going to have to do that in context with this voting deal and the SAVE Act. So whatever you do, keep it right there. Your Saturday morning vibe is here with you. The Saturday morning extravaganza. Don't go away.
The James Golding Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golding Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adam is still on the line. Adam, thank you for holding. Now let me hear what you want to say about Minnesota, Adam.
I just wanted to say that they have a meme up with Donald Trump's face with an ape face, you know, like an ape, and it says Planet of the Rapes. Now, I couldn't stop laughing when I seen that, man, you know, but I just wanted to share that with you.
Planet of the Rapes. Now, you see, by the way, because I'm glad you brought that up in a way, because I was thinking about this too. Right. You know, you see all this rape stuff associated, and not only that, that whole charge with that writer E. Jean Carroll, to me, one of the most outrageous court cases, especially if one were to look at her history and all the other accusations she's made against other people that have just been, how shall we say, questionable. And the way that case was run, not even letting Trump really put up a defense or limiting what evidence could be brought in about her past and about all these wild accusations that have been made. It was just unconscionable. And I hope that that conviction, even though it wasn't for rape, as George Stephanopoulos found out after being sued in ABC for promoting the idea, but those things are out there. What has been out there are the attacks on his family and his businesses. What has been out there for years is all of these horrible things that have been said and are continued to be said about him on a daily basis. Not only that, the demonization of the entire federal law enforcement system is some type of Gestapo, and the Nazi references. Anybody that studied history should understand how not only inaccurate, but how harmful those things are. So, yeah, while I am going to still not ever do anything but condemn this meme because it was a horrible meme, I'm also going to say that if people do really want to complain about that, then also check the mirror, and look at some of the stuff that you've said. Look at some of the stuff that people continue to say about this president. Look, for instance, at today, and there's no outrage over this, Adam, a black columnist, Jamel Bowie, who used to be with Slate, I believe, before he was with the New York Times, wrote on Blue Sky, a follower of his called J.D. Vance, what a pompous, and used the P word. No wonder his mom tried to sell him for Percocets. And the columnist for the New York Times, Jamie Bowie, wrote this: I can't imagine a parent who wouldn't sell little J.D. for Percocet if they knew he would turn out like this. Now, I don't hear any outrage on the left. I hear nothing. Not only just making fun of him, but also of drug addiction, his mom, his life story with dealing with drug addiction. This is a horrible statement to make. So if we're going to, and I say this, yes, we should, if we are going to spend all of our time condemning horrible statements, that's all we're going to be doing. Because there are so many horrible statements that are being made in the political arena right now. But the only difference, and I will say this again, the only difference is when you are sitting in the White House, when you are the president, when it is your White House, you have a responsibility. And your responsibility is on a different nature than some of these horrible comments that are being made are going to be, a different standard is going to be held to you for what you say than, for instance, some of these people that are so consumed with hatred in the mainstream press or in other elective office below that of the presidency. What do you think?
I think that you should try to get the transcripts of the E. Jean Carroll case because he's still being held liable for that whole bunch of millions.
They're trying to move it into federal court. And I'm telling you, one of these days, it's got to go. That thing. Adam, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. I want to move on. We're going to grab more calls. Thank you, Adam. Always a pleasure. I want to move on. Now, you heard at the beginning of the show the SAVE Act. I want to play two things for you. One of them is going to be a repeat. You'll hear some of it. We're going to do Matt Cuts 3 and Cuts 4. The first, let me just set this up. These are man-on-the-street interviews. I love the MOSs. And this, I don't know who this reporter is, but he did a great job. What he did is go out and ask white liberals, and that's the first part of this, what they think about this whole idea of IDs, and especially arguments that Democrats are making that, we can't have IDs in elections because black people, too stupid to get IDs. Yeah, that's pretty much what they're saying. They too incompetent, not equal to us. They're too dumb to get IDs. So he asked a bunch of liberals about it, and then he asked black people. On the second one of these, we just have a longer version of him asking black people about IDs and voting. So let's start with cut 3, and here it is.
An opinion on voter ID laws?
Yeah, they're usually pretty racist and they're bad.
I think voter ID laws are a way to perpetuate racism.
Would you go as far as say those laws are racist?
For sure.
Do you think it suppresses the African American vote?
Definitely.
Tell us how.
Because they're less likely to have state IDs.
Minority voters are less likely to have the kinds of IDs that have been described or required.
These type of people don't live in areas with easy access to DMVs or other places where they get identification.
You can always get IDs you do over the internet. Does that also make it difficult for black people in particular?
Yeah, you have to have access to the internet. You have to be able to pay an internet service provider for certain fees.
Do you think that's harder for black people to go online?
Well, I feel like they don't have the knowledge of how it works.
A lot of people have smartphones, but you might not have data.
For most of the communities, they don't really know what is out there just because they're not aware.
Now I'm here in East Harlem to ask black people their thoughts on what you just heard.
Yes.
Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID? That's a lie.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist.
You're judging somebody, you're judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, okay, the next one, just roll into the next one. It's just more of that.
To ask
He's in
black
East
people
Harlem.
Thoughts on what you just heard. Do you have ID normally? You carry ID around?
Yes, I have state ID.
Do you carry ID?
Yes, I do.
Do you know any black person who doesn't carry ID?
No. Everyone that I know has an ID. Why would they think we don't have ID? That's a lie. Why would they say that?
Do you have ID?
Yes.
Because I have my ID and my friends have their ID, so we know what we need to carry around.
Everybody that I know have ID. That's one of the things you need to walk around with New York with, ID.
Do you know any black adult who does not have ID?
No, I don't.
Is it a weird thing to even say that?
Yes, it is.
What is this, some type of trick candy camera?
I know, right? That's the only thing I brought with me.
Those are legit IDs. I heard a lot also that black people can't figure out how to get to the DMV.
Really?
What does that say to you?
I know it's that, on 25th Street.
Do you know where the DMV is around you?
It's on 125th Street and 3rd Avenue, I believe.
You know how to get there?
Yeah.
Would you have a problem getting there if you had to get there?
No.
I know these sound like silly questions. You know how to get to the DMV?
Of course.
You know where it is?
Yes.
You can get there?
Uh-huh.
No problem.
No problem.
Just checking.
Okay.
And I also heard a lot that black people, especially poor black people, have no access to the internet, can't figure out how to use the internet.
That's just stupidity.
I had access to the internet for years.
You know how to use it properly,
Exactly. I do it at work. So, of course, I know how to use it. My kids know how to use it. They all have iPads, iPods, whatever.
Your phone has data?
Mm-hmm.
You can access
Unlimited.
Unlimited data.
Mm-hmm. I use my phone as a hotspot.
What does that say to you for the people who have this perception of black people?
They're pretty much ignorant. That's my thought process on it.
I just think that's ignorant. Ignorant.
Ignorant. That's the word I'm hearing a lot.
Ignorant. Very, very ignorant.
Does it sound racist for somebody to say that?
I think it is a little racist because, you're putting people in a category and you have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe a little bit of racist in it, but like I said, I think it's more stupidity and ignorance.
You're judging somebody, you're judging them because they black, saying that they don't got it.
What people are they talking to? Who are these people talking to?
Do you have a problem that if you go to vote and they say, can we please see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Are you
Love showing my ID.
You have no problem with that?
Nope.
Would you have a problem if when you go to vote, if they say, can we please just see your ID to make sure you are who you say you are? Do you have an issue with that?
No.
Would you have a problem if there was a rule where you have to show your ID in order to vote?
I don't think so. No.
Would you have an issue if there was a rule saying you got to show your ID before you vote?
Nah.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
Hello, tell me the story. What happened today at school?
Okay, so I'm Marco. I'm the
Yeah, okay, so there you have it, my friends. What was amazing is listening to these liberals and their view about black people. Oh my goodness, these types of people can't get on the internet. He's a white liberal. These people don't know how to get an ID. These people, those types of people, are too poor to be on the internet. And I love that this guy went to East Harlem, New York, to do man on the street. You have a problem showing up and showing your ID? No. In fact, folks, most people in America, even Democrats, understand that there's not a problem with showing your ID. Now, here's something that I've been waiting to play for you with this whole idea of the SAVE Act. Oh, we can't have ID. Oh, no. Black people are going to suffer. Black people can't vote if you demand them to have it's Jim Crow 2.0. That's what Chuck Schumer's out saying, which is so insulting, especially from the guy whose party, the Democrat Party, are the people that gave America Jim Crow 1.0. But let's go overseas for a moment. Cut 2. Here's a news story that ran last year. When I saw this clip, I said, what? And then I had to go back and pull out news stories from overseas to verify, because I'm not just going to play something without fact-checking it like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take you now. Let's get in our time. Let's get in our transport machine, our political transport machine. Leave these beautiful United States. Head over the Atlantic Ocean to the continent the Democrats used to call the Dark Continent. Or they used to say the Darky Continent. The Dark Continent, as they used to call it. And let's visit the nation of Somalia.
Somalia's electoral authorities have started issuing voter ID cards across Mogadishu as the capital prepares for its first direct municipal council elections in decades under a one-person, one-vote system. Printing at the Somali Independent Election Committee headquarters operates around the clock in 2 8-hour shifts, producing an estimated 30,000 to 40,000 cards daily.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's true. Last year, Somalia, the nation of Somalia, introduced voter IDs as they began their elections so that there would be no fraud. Somalia. No fraud. I know. Let's do voter IDs. And by the way, they have biometric IDs for their citizens now.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let's head to the telephones. Viviana is calling in from Brooklyn, New York. Viviana, welcome. How are you this morning, dear Viviana?
I agree with Adam and a lot of your callers. It's great to talk to you and to hear the show and get so informed. You tell it like it is, and we appreciate that. As far as I'm concerned, I'm very concerned, like many people, about the homeless on the street. And many. I'm sorry.
Could you please, Viviana, please, don't refer to them as homeless. We learned that this week from the. Would you please? That is very, very, very offensive. Would you please refer to them as the unhoused?
Oh my goodness! I'm not going there, Bo.
Okay.
They do not have homes to be in, so they are homeless. Anyway.
Okay.
The thing is that there were a lot of people praying that Mandami would change his mind on his policy of allowing homeless to stay on the streets.
How many dead so far?
This brutal cold.
How many dead?
19 dead.
The numbers keep growing.
Hypothermia. So I wanted to thank the Mandami administration because last night on TV I saw that they opened time-limited available hotel rooms for those who fear going to a shelter. They increase the numbers of heating centers and open this for the brutal cold. And then they also are going to have temporary use of public school spaces. And I saw them canvassing. The only thing I disagree with is he's not using the police. A lot more people can, canvass when you use the police. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to share with you is if I can just do a quick prayer for those who have to be out.
You may. Go ahead. This is, yes, we don't often use the program for prayers, but let me tell you something. This is vital. So please go ahead, Viviana.
Thank you so much, Bo. Oh, Father, we ask you to help and protect everyone that must go out to work, school, for the first responders, for the NYPD, for hospital personnel, business owners, and the elderly, and those without heat, that they would have it repaired, and even the sanitation workers who are tasked with the snow removal and garbage pickup. Father, they have to be out there. Would you give them wisdom to know how much and what to do? Please protect them and cause them to be able to get home this evening and be safe. And we want to thank
Amen. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends. Our number duos here of our Saturday morning extravaganza, your Saturday morning vibe. It is time to check in with Red Apple Audio Network's star anchorette supremo. She is the voice of her generation, ladies and gentlemen, a voice that we love, that of our very own Lizzie Rattoballi. Lizzie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Bo. Good morning, Bo. Thank you so much for having me. It's always great to, catch up, talk about the latest, what's happening this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you couldn't open up that Washington Post story that I sent you.
Goodness. I was going...
It was a gift article.
I was going crazy. I was being sent, you sent me that article, and it, like you said, it's a gift article, so that means anyone can open it. But I kept having to put in my email, and they were like, oh, you're already signed up. Here, sign in here. And every time I tried to sign in, it would redirect me. Anyways, not the thing, I do think that maybe I'm on a watch list.
Lizzie, they've had problems this week with the
I was going to say Washington Post. I know they've let go of all their, a lot of reporters and stuff. Maybe they let go of their tech.
One third across the board of their reporting staff and some of the others.
Yeah, tech staff must have gone too because their website is broken. Okay, their website is no good.
Well, we can get to that. I'll send you the story during the week. It's about how AI is just taking over so much and some of the problems associated with it in terms of it's consuming so much of the budgets that other things are suffering so that people can race toward AI. But we can get to that. I'm glad you can explain the story to me that I saw and didn't understand, Lizzie, because you have it here. So maybe you can tell us what this is about.
Yes.
Kamala Harris unveiled headquarters something, but she had to change the name because people were mocking it. And I never got to what is exactly the story here with Kamala Harris and what the heck is headquarters 67 and all this stuff. What is it?
Yeah. So headquarters is now, I don't want to make any, generalizations here, but to me, it's reading as the rebirth of a grift here. This to me is a giant grift operation because headquarters, Kamala HQ, that was the campaign headquarters that was used, for a lot of the digital engagement of Kamala's campaign that she did in 2024. And as we know,
the campaign of joy.
Yeah, but we know that campaign was unsuccessful. So now they're coming back to, I don't know what, to help project the focus on Gen Z audiences and youth political engagement. That's directly from this group here. So they say that, you know, they want to activate Gen Z, but what if the Gen Z turns out they mostly want Trump? I mean, I don't really know what the game plan is here. So they are partnering with a liberal advocacy group. It was founded by television's Norman Lear, the People for the American Way. They're teaming up to do this. But so I just want to get into Kamala launched this effort with a video on Twitter. And like you mentioned, on Twitter or X, I will never call it X right away. I will always Twitter forever. But Twitter, the account there is at headquarters_67, of 6'7" fame. You know, the internet meme that sprouted up in the end of last year and then immediately died. Like it had a shelf life of about 2 weeks, the 6'7" craze. But so she's using that craze a little too late here. And
I didn't even know what the 6'7" craze was. What the heck was it? What is it?
It was just like a phrase that a lot of Gen Zers were using. And the thing is, you know, anytime you say some numbers and 6 and 7 would be next to each other, people would be like, oh, 6, 7. And it was just kind of like this meme that turned into like, it was like the word of the year for one of the dictionaries. I don't know which one. It was like Merriam or, maybe Oxford used 6, 7 as the word of the year, but I still don't really know what it was. It comes from a rap song. I do know that it comes from a rap song.
Okay.
But yeah. And
3-4.
Yeah. 3-4. 4-5. And, so Kamala launched this campaign, this effort, with a video, and the video is bad, okay? She is, I'm just gonna say.
How surprising.
The video is
surprising.
Bad. The video, so first of all, it starts with someone off camera saying, explain what this is. And then Kamala's like, yes. So headquarters is an effort to mobilize the youth and get them involved. And when she's talking like 2 or 3 times, she looks like up. She looks up as if she's like trying to remember what she has to say. She's trying to remember her lines. And her role in this also not clear because she's not controlling the editorial content or daily operations. She's just the chair of this project. So I'm like, is she making money from this? Like, what's going on here? It's not really a good effort from Democrats who, you know, you would think after their tough loss of 2024, they really lost every swing state and the popular vote. You'd think that there would be more, I don't know, clarity on the path forward, or I don't know, even just a departure from their past efforts. I mean, revamping Kamala for what? The voters have spoken. They're not interested. And it just reminds me, locally here in New York, we have Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and a lot of online, a lot of his support came from this movement called Hot Girls for Zohran. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, the viral T-shirt campaign. They just similar to headquarters, they just revamped their whole thing, rebranded, and now they are Hot Girls Organized. And it's like, what actually are any of you people doing? Like, you guys aren't like, you know, going out to the homeless people, giving them, you know, water or blankets as they're dying in the freezing cold. Nobody's doing anything. Everyone's saying a lot. You know, I need to see people start to walk the walk, you know?
Hot girls, huh? Hot girls organized. Maybe they're cake sitting.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
You were aware of the cake sitting craze. Never mind.
Oh yes, I'm aware. Everything on the internet, man. I just
yeah. I don't want to go in that direction. We'll just leave the cake sitting for another time. Okay. Now, I love the other story. I read it during the week, and I had to laugh about the government attorney who was in court with the judge on an ICE case. And she, by the way, is no longer working for the government, but great story. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so she, you know, a lot of people have a lot of complaints about their jobs, but most people don't do it on the record in court while they're technically on the clock. So this government attorney, Julie Lee, she was listed under the Department of Homeland Security. She's been on 88 cases this past month alone. Just this past 30 days, she's 88 cases. She felt that she was overwhelmed, and she says that the system that she's part of is broken. And she says that she even asked the judge, could you hold me in contempt so I could get 24 hours of sleep? I just thought that's just a new effort. I don't know why the judge didn't answer her request, let her get some sleep, but instead she is now no longer with the Department of Homeland Security. She was working on what appears to be a volunteer basis, but now she is joining the group of government lawyers who have now kind of left the Department of Justice.
Well, maybe she can learn to code, but she did say, I kind of feel sorry. She said, look. She said the caseloads are overwhelming here.
Yeah, and it is. 88 cases.
And she said this job
days.
sucks.
Yeah,
she said that in court.
She said that in court to the judge, and I don't know why the judge, didn't hear her cries and just give her a state-sanctioned bed, a little state-sanctioned nap time there. But she's no longer working with the government. She has now been removed from her detail. Not exactly clear what exactly is the next steps for her, but, they're really trying to recruit more people now on the legal side of things. We've seen how they're, offering bonuses and stuff to actual Border Patrol guards, but, maybe we'll see that soon with U.S. attorneys. Maybe they're going to provide some financial incentive there because a lot of them have left.
Wow. Well.
Yeah, and 88 cases.
So it goes.
They're not going anywhere.
Hey, that's a heck of a caseload. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I love this next story. And by the way, I'll tell you about it. Tell us about NASA and how NASA has changed its mind on the upcoming Artemis mission that will the United States going back to the moon.
Yes. So we're going back into the cosmos, traveling into the final frontier once again. And now iPhones are going to be joining the crew. The crew now gets to bring in their iPhones. It was originally not going to be allowed. And, one thing that NASA is saying that this will be pretty useful for astronauts who are, may look outside and see something and be like, oh, me, an astronaut, expert on space, I actually don't know what that is. Let me consult let me go on my phone right now and do a quick Google. Maybe I could identify this space phenomenon flying past my eyes. But they also say that maybe we'll get a lot of better pictures, some videos now, because the last mission to the moon, the camera there was a 2016 DSLR and some GoPros that were like a decade old. So now iPhones are in the mix, and maybe we'll get some, Instagram Snapchats of the moon. And also, I do want to note, iPhones have been in orbit before. They flew to shuttle mission in 2011, but it's not really clear if the astronauts were able to go on their phones for that.
Yeah, I wonder who's doing the coverage for that, whether it's going to be Starlink or whatever. But, this is, to me, exciting, actually. And I talked to an astronomer who's going to be coming on the program over the next few weeks. We're going to talk about this moon mission, and I just can't wait for that. This stuff has always, ever since I was a kid, kind of excited me. And so returning back to the moon, and I wonder if these iPhones are going to help tamp down the conspiracy theories. There are a whole bunch of the kook crowd. There are a whole bunch of the conspiracist theories out there, the kooks, who continue to say that the moon landing happened in Hollywood. It didn't happen on the moon. And so now, with them taking their iPhones up to the moon, location services should be able to disquiet some of the kooks, some of the conspiracy theorists, perhaps.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated, if they get bored, are they going to just, scroll on their phones, the astronauts, instead of taking the marvels of space and everything that's around them? Are they going to just, divert to what we do here on Earth and just scroll in space?
Scroll in space. That sounds like a TV show. Scroll in space. I love it, Lizzie.
I know. I'm going to get to writing. I got a screenplay coming up soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lizzie. Look forward to catching up with you next week. As always, what fun.
Thank you so much, Bo. Always a pleasure.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
James Golden, Snerdley with you. Let's get back to the telephones. People have been waiting. Let's visit Tennessee and check in with Harold. Good morning, Harold. How are you?
I'm good, man. I woke up this morning.
Hey, I hear you. An
undeniable fact of life now is...
He's a Rush listener, folks. He's a Rush. He was a Rush listener. Just by that opening sentence, I can tell.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Harold.
Yes, I talked to you a couple times, but you wouldn't let me talk to the big guy, but that's okay. I forgive you.
Thank you.
If you're against photo ID for voting, you're for voter fraud. That's just an undeniable fact of life.
Now, do you think that with these arguments that are being made, one of the arguments that Democrats, in fact, Jamie Raskin said it. Let me see. Hey, Matt, on the thing I sent you this morning, we have a Jamie Raskin bite. You know, Jamie Raskin is one of these. If you find it, just play it. And the argument is big. You have it? Harold, listen to this from Jamie Raskin.
Yes, sir.
What's wrong with the SAVE Act? What's wrong with it is that it might violate the 19th Amendment, which gives women the right to vote, because you've got to show that all of your different IDs match. So if you're a woman who's gotten married and you've changed your name to your husband's name, but so now your current name is different from your name at birth, now you've got to go ahead and document that. You need an affidavit explaining why. And why would we go to all of these the troubles in order to keep people from voting when none of the states that are actually running the elections are telling us that there's any problem?
How do you respond to that in 30 seconds, Hal, because that's all we have left?
That's amazing. He knows what a woman is.
Oh, there you go.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Let's head back to the telephones. Carlotta is calling from Rhode Island. Good morning, Carlotta. How are you?
Okay, and I have two things to say. I'm going to say them, and then I'll hang up because I'm in the elevator. Okay, the first thing is, yesterday, I didn't really think that Obama thing that Trump put up was racist, but I had to think about it. And then when I saw Greg Kelly, you can watch his last night's TV show, it wasn't racist. As a matter of fact, calling it racist is racist because it's saying that white people can be ridiculed, you can put their heads on the top of animals, but you can't do it to black people. So let's talk about that later. And then the other thing is, I really think that all this, I hope Mrs. Guthrie is found, but it's ridiculous the amount of empty airtime that's filling up about this. I would much rather see Ilhan Omar's finances given this level of scrutiny on air. So those are my two things.
All right. Well, first off, and Greg Kelly's a colleague, and I don't want to direct this to him, but that argument is utter nonsense to me as a black person.
Watch his program. Just watch his program.
I don't have to do that. I'm not going to listen to anybody tell me that comparing black people to apes and monkeys is somehow not racist when it's been used in a racist context for over a century. And I don't want to hear any more excuses about it. I'm tired of this nonsense. When you say things, when you do things that you know are hurtful based on the perception that they're going to have, there is no question that whether like it or not, black people view being called apes, monkeys, chimps, racist, and it has been going on for over a century. I don't want to hear anybody try to tell me, oh, well, you're the racist because you should just go along with it. That's a bunch of bull.
No. But, James, what if when I see that, I don't think of racism. I just think of two people who are acting like monkeys.
And that's fine. We don't all view things the same way, and I understand that. But when you have the White House of the United States of America, and they put out a meme that knowingly, or they should know, is going to offend large segments of the population based on the history of the way that those... So if the White House came up with a meme that shows some black person with a drumstick in one hand and some watermelon in another with some big smiley face, you can sit and tell me, oh, well, that's not racist, because I think that well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. These tropes have been used with black people for over a century, 2 centuries in this country. So I'm not listening to anybody give me the yoke about how something that is clearly a racist meme is not a racist meme. Come up with something better. And then have the audacity to tell those of us who understand that it's a racist meme that we're racist because we understand what it says. And what it says is black people are freaking apes and monkeys. Black people are apes and monkeys. You people are inferior, and that's the way you are viewed. That's what that meme means. Okay? And there is no whitewashing it.
Okay, move on to the next subject.
I hope that Miss Guthrie is found. Really do. Now, look, I understand why it's a big story, and television news is television news. I hope she's found safely. I think we all do. As to your other point about the finances with Ilhan Omar, absolutely. It needs to be totally investigated. Do you know, by the way, another member of the squad, Ayanna Pressley, it was reported the other day she came into Congress with $12,000 in the bank account. Now she and her husband are scoring over $3 million in the bank account. And people want to know, how does this stuff happen? And it's not just these congresswomen, and it's not, by the way, just Democrats that managed to go to Congress broke and come out multimillionaires. And I think the more the merrier looking into all of it. The more, and we need to have, and by the way, there's so much happening and I thank you for the call, Carlotta. I thank you for that because there is so much happening. We have, where is it? Cut 13, Matt. Listen to this one, Carlotta and everybody. Listen to Small Business Administrator Kelly Loeffler. 13. Kelly Loeffler, Small Business.
Here in San Diego, standing at an address that is registered to 14 businesses that took $2 million in pandemic-era loans. Those loans haven't been paid back, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, the SBA is announcing we're suspending 112,000 California borrowers who took potentially upwards of $9 billion. We're going to continue to work with our federal partners to ensure accountability for COVID-era fraud that the Biden administration tried to sweep under the rug. And just like Minnesota, California is another state whose socialist welfare policies have invited fraud. Well, the buck stops here. We're not looking the other way. We're prosecuting. There's going to be more to come.
Now, let's go directly to the next one. Jeanine Pirro in Washington, D.C. Here's another one for you, Carlotta. Jeanine Pirro in Washington, D.C. cut 14, Matt. And here is Jeanine Pirro.
Hi, everyone. It's Judge Jeanine. Today, my prosecutors got a conviction and a sentence of 33 months for Ruby Jane Corrado, who created the nonprofit Casa Ruby that's supposed to benefit LGBTQ at-risk community youth in the district. Unfortunately, she decided that she would take over $950,000 from a COVID relief program, an economic loss program, and she pocketed that money for herself. She then fled to El Salvador. We were able to get her back from El Salvador as a result of the work of the Washington field office of the FBI. She's now required to pay back that almost $1 million, and she's going to serve 33 months in prison. I think this should be a message, a twofold message. Number one, we are going to protect the LGBTQ community, especially the at-risk youth. And number two, if you steal money from the government, you're going to go to jail.
About time, and along with this, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has said that they are going to start auditing businesses, more and more businesses through the IRS that they believe are engaged in this. Folks, the money that has been defrauded from American taxpayers is astounding. And I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We saw it with Doge, and we're still seeing it roll out now. Now, let me just make one thing clear. Carlotta, thank you for the call. I didn't hear the Greg Kelly thing she's talking about, so my remarks are not addressed to Greg Kelly, but I'm speaking about the concept that something that is clearly racist is not racist. I'm past that. I'm not going there. At this point, if people don't understand that what black people in America have been subjected to for centuries now, this idea that you're less than human, you're an animal, therefore it was okay to enslave you, therefore it's okay right now, no matter how high you rise up, to still refer to you as an ape, a chipmunk, a monkey, or anything. If you don't get that, that's on you. Okay, but it is insulting, and it's at this point in where we are in society and where we should be in society, this shouldn't even be open to conversation. It's ridiculous. Okay? Let us go to Stan in Pennsylvania. Stan, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Thank you both for taking my call, and we still listen for your blessing at the end of every show. I was so taken in the summer when you talked about the Mills Brothers. As I grew up in central Pennsylvania in the 50s, I remember them being on the radio, and you talked about the importance they had in the civil rights movement and music, and that I know you love history. And so I got to digging into it because I was from that area. Bellefont's right in the center of Pennsylvania, and their history goes back to the 1820s on the Underground Railroad. And for your listeners out there that don't know about it, it was a way to move slaves to the north. And they all didn't wind up in Canada. And in their case, in the mountains of Pennsylvania in the 1820s, many people were hidden out, and they settled in Bellefonte and were accepted. And that was their great-great-granddaddies. And the Underground Railroad and the role that played just speaks to humanity, and people don't realize that it was whites and free blacks. People were under extreme danger. Even in my town I live in now, there are two houses that were part of the Underground Railroad. And I just thought that I love the way you talk about history. And two of their ancestors, their great-great-granddaddy fought in the Civil War, and I'm just going to use the words. They fought in the U.S. colored troops, fought in Antietam. The history is just so great there, Bo, and I just thought I would share that with you.
I so appreciate it.
Months to call you, and every time I turn around, something disgusting happens, like yesterday. And Bo, I just so appreciate you and the history, and maybe you can dive into this later at some time. I used to think that the Mills Brothers were from Bellefonte. Well, their grandfather died in Bellefonte in 1936, I believe it was. The things that they went through. That area is 10 miles from Penn State. One of their aunts was the first graduate from Penn State. And one other thing I wanted to say, everybody was kind of accepted in Bellefonte. And Bellefonte was one of the first integrated schools in America. And I just thought I would share that with you as a resident of central Pennsylvania.
Oh, Stan, I am so happy that you called and that you shared. America is such an amazing country, and there's such joint history. This is going to sound strange to people. Might sound strange to people, too. I was not happy when Robert E. Lee's statue was taken down. and Robert E. Lee was more than that. And yes, he was on the wrong side of the Civil War. His story is more than that.
Right.
But the Civil War is our history. It is the American experience. And I just have, now, are there cases that I think that certain things should not be displayed, should not be, yeah, but I embrace the American journey. And that journey has some sheer evil in it, but it also has, as you were just talking about, some of the most remarkable stories about love for humanity from people from every walk of life.
Yes.
This is our history. And it's not a perfect history because we are not perfect people.
You know, an interesting sidelight of that was the Fugitive Slave Act. And the states rebelling against
right.
what the federal government was doing.
The Democrats.
We're talking about that now on the other end, on maybe not such a good way, but in this case, you know, the sheriffs from the South can come up, and it was great danger, you know.
Yes. This is when Democrats ran their institution, their peculiar institution of slavery, just like today they're running their peculiar institution of illegal immigration. And the Mills Brothers, by the way, I got into the Mills Brothers because they were one of my dad's favorite groups. He loved the Mills Brothers. He grew up in that era. And they were so amazingly talented. I did not know the backstory that you gave today, and I will look into it, Stan. And I just thank you so much for your call. I love hearing from you. Thank you for calling and for sharing that with all of us.
You're welcome. Thanks, Bo.
Appreciate you.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Heading back to the telephones, we check in with, we have only 1 minute? That's not fair, enough time to be fair with a caller. We'll see what we can do. Okay, those of you on hold, if Princess Di wants to hang with us a little while, we'll take more calls after Princess Di and I begin our chat, and then both of us will take some calls. How's that, if she's up for the game? James Golden, Snerdley here. Our number duo. Man, I can't believe it already. Our number duo moving toward the can very quickly. Which means our number trio is right on the horizon. In our number trio, our very own Princess Di. And your calls. And in our number trio, America's small caffeinated mom, Rhonda Schrock. All of that as this Saturday morning radio extravaganza continues. Your Saturday morning vibe. Whatever you do, keep it right here and don't go away.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hour number 3 on the way. I just got a text from Lady Teresa that it's 8 degrees where she is. I'm not going to give the location. 8 degrees, it's cold. So those of you enduring the cold temperatures, stay warm, please. I understand, because it's cold where I am, too. I'm in long sleeves, and I still, the chilliness. If you're enduring the winter weather, stay warm. Our number trio is here. Our number trio means, and boy, can we use some goodness right now. Our number trio.
It's time for Radio Royalty with James Golden and America's Princess of Policy, Princess Di.
The ness in the house, the goodness, the loveliness, the delightfulness, the supreme intellectualness, the analysis of things going on in the worldness. It is time for the royalness herself. Princess Diana is in the house. Welcome, Your Highness.
Sir James, thank you.
Yes. I hope you're staying warm. It's not cold. I hope it's not too cold where you are either. Not 8 degrees.
Not as bad as it's been this week. So it's starting to thaw out a little here. So the sun is out, and we are in a happy space talking to each other.
Well, yes, I love the happy space indeed. So, Your Highness, a lot going on this week. What shall you weigh in on today?
Well, I had asked you if you might be able to share a soundbite of President speaking in an interview with NBC News on Wednesday, February 4th, with Tom Lamas. Do you have that?
We have it. Let me just ask you a question. They still call it NBC News, though.
Yeah,
wow.
So
yes. Okay. Because the other thing they did, okay, it's not on that MS, whatever it is, now then it's on the regular NBC News. We have it, and here it is.
Your endorsement is the most important thing in the Republican primary.
No, in any primary.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people. But, yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, I have two people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But, look, J.D. is fantastic, and Marco is fantastic.
How are they
both
different?
doing a great job. And I do think this. It's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question. Yeah. I would say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other. I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, they will do shows. They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of J.D. and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think. But you never know in politics, right? They say, in the age of Trump, you never know.
Wow. What is your takeaway from that, Your Highness?
Well, I wanted to ask you to play that because Trump basically said explicitly that this would be a very hard ticket to beat. And I think he's absolutely right. I think that this is our ticket for 2028. And I just wanted to tell you that I think that there are two stories this week or recently that have gotten very little coverage that I wanted to mention about each of them. And the first one is a story about Marco Rubio that I just love. I came across it just yesterday, and I have been just chuckling since I read this story. It actually started in the end of January. Do you remember when the president withdrew America from the WHO, the World Health Organization?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This was a big event. He has withdrawn us from a lot of globalist organizations, and this happened January 22nd, exactly a year after he signed the executive order declaring he was withdrawing. He gave them a year's notice. And so the announcement, which was a joint announcement by Secretary of State Rubio and Secretary of Health and Human Services Kennedy on the termination, he revealed something which I had not heard before. He explains, this is from Rubio and Kennedy, so they explained why America was withdrawing. It had to do with being captured by China, basically, and their failures and their horrible impact on America during COVID and their rules, which ended up to be lies. But this is the detail that I had not heard. Here's a quote from this joint statement. Even on our way out of the organization, the WHO tarnished and trashed everything that America has done for it. The WHO refuses to hand over the American flag that hung in front of it, arguing it has not approved our withdrawal, and in fact claims that we owe it compensation of $130 million. And then the statement goes on to say, we will get our flag back for the Americans who died alone in nursing homes, the small businesses devastated by WHO-driven restrictions, and the American lives shattered by this organization's inactivity. Our withdrawal is for them. Now, this was January 22nd. And so the next thing that happened, and I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at the WHO in Geneva. Here's the next statement. The WHO, this is from the State Department, their refusal to hand over the American flag was entirely unacceptable. It was the epitome of globalist disrespect for America, a globalist institution holding our flag captive. Under POTUS's leadership, the State Department and HHS have secured its return, safely held by the U.S. Marines on its way back to the USA. And here is from the U.S. mission to Geneva. Geneva and our Marine detachment are in possession of the American flag that hung at the WHO. The flag, dedicated to the American lives lost during COVID, is on its way back to the U.S. to Secretary Rubio. Promises made, promises kept. And here is a photo on Twitter of the Marines with the flag. And so to me, it's like WHO said, oh, no, you're not getting your flag back. And so Rubio basically sent in the Marines and captured the flag. And to me, this is such a triumphant moment. Would you have loved to have seen these dweeby bureaucrats in Geneva? No, we're not giving back your flag. The Marines come in and basically say, we're taking your flag. Okay. Literally, a day later, there's a photo of the Marines with the flag. Now, to me, this is a movie moment. Would you not have loved to have seen the reaction of these globalists in Geneva saying, well, I guess we can have the flag?
I just love this story.
I love this story. It's my favorite story of the week, and I credit Marco Rubio, who is, to me, going to be on the ticket for 2026, for 2028. And here is, now he does many, many things, wears many hats, as the memes have shown him, being given yet another assignment from Donald Trump. He is really ahead of the curve globally on many, many things as Secretary of State. But this little story, to me, shows the lack of what having to have a focus group or having to have a discussion is basically, oh, yeah, we're sending in the Marines, and he got it done. And I just love that story as representative as of the complete confidence and use of American influence and power. And so kudos to Secretary of State Rubio on that.
Wow. I had not heard that story with everything else. I am so glad you brought that to our attention. I got to ask you this, and we got about a minute here before we got to head to a break, minute and a half. What do you think? I sent you the story of the Washington Post layoffs. You're an insider, meaning you follow journalism quite well. A lot of the lefties are out blaming Jeff Bezos. Oh, he should have put his own money in to keep the Washington Post reporters on staff. These are significant layoffs. This is a big deal in the media world. What do you think of what's happened at the Washington Post this week?
I love that story, and they are out there protesting, going to their roots as Democrat activists, the people who have been laid out, and they're doing their little chants and their answer, who runs the Post? We run the Post. They're claiming as they've been laid off that they really are in charge of the Post, and they are the reason the Post exists. But here's the number to remember. $100 million a year. that publication has been losing $100 million a year. And so all of these entitled people at the Post are so angry at Bezos and claiming, well, he should have absorbed it. He could have absorbed that for many, many more years. And so there is no sense of, wait a minute, we haven't earned our keep. There's no sense of, oh, we did something wrong. It is still the entire attitude that shows the reason they should be gone.
Wow. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Princess Diana. They should be gone. It was losing $100 million a year. It's hard to sustain a business that's not making money, which is the purpose of going into business.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And Princess Di is in the house. J.D. Vance and his wife are over in, Milan, where the Winter Olympics have started. But J.D.'s been in the news. Princess Di, what's going on with J.D.?
Well, I just wanted to bring to the fore something very important. And on January 8th, Vance announced that the Department of Justice was creating a national fraud enforcement division under the advocacy of President Trump. And this week, CBS reported that there's a task force coordinating with the Department of Justice, an anti-fraud task force, which is targeting California and more states, and that will be led by J.D. Vance. So J.D. Vance, in my opinion, who is going to be the chairman of the new task force, he's going to be the anti-fraud czar. I think Democrats around the country should be hearing the theme from Jaws. This should be the echo in their minds because they're targeting particularly California fraud. They anticipate that J.D. is going to be at the top of the ticket. This is my read, and that he will be running against Gavin Newsom. And so this already is going to be what is going to be the election turning on. And I am so happy because fraud is the thing that needs to be, before we can have American prosperity and the golden age fully formed, we have got to tackle fraud. And that is what JD is going to be running on clearly. And so basically what's going to happen is the Democrats are going to have to defend fraud, because they already are. The California Attorney General, Rob Bonta, said that the fraud claims are outrageous and ridiculous and without basis. They're reckless and false. And that Trump's claims that the state programs are overrun by fraud and that the state government itself is perpetuating and facilitating fraud are untrue. So even though the Small Business Administration just suspended over 100,000 California borrowers in the sweeping $9 billion fraud crackdown for stealing COVID funds, that they are on the left because the JD campaign is going to force them into it. The left is going to, from now on, have to run on the fraud that is their record. And so I just wanted to, this is a huge thing. It's not getting a whole lot of attention. So we had the capture the flag on Rubio's part, and we have the on the fraud hunt by JD. So that's our ticket.
That is pretty awesome. We played the bite of SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler talking about that $9 billion COVID fraud. You wait till they get to that high-speed train and all the money that's been wasted with that fraud. You wait till they get to the wait till they start really running through Medi-Cal and get through that fraud. Wait till they start going through the way that California has been using NGOs to reward certain parties' donors. Wait till they get to that fraud. This is going to be really interesting.
It's going to be fantastic. It is going to also galvanize the MAGA base because it is an attack We're moving forward. And it is a difficult thing to run on positive news, even though there is a lot of positive news coming from the Trump administration. People, when they have the border closed, they're like, okay, that problem was solved. This, to me, is a huge problem that remains, and we are on the move. We are on the attack on the Republican side. And to me, this is how you win the election in 2028.
And speaking of elections, let's talk about voting with Dom in Minnesota. Dom, you got about a minute. You got to get right to your point here.
Yeah, James, now that Somalia has introduced voter ID, I think Trump should appoint Ilhan Omar as the voter ID czar for this country with a promise that she can keep the $30 million she has amassed on the condition that she accept the honor and lobby for voter ID starting in Minnesota.
Princess Diana, did you hear earlier we played from Somalia, and it's happened last year. They have voter ID cards. They have biometric ID cards as well for government in Somalia. Voter ID cards. And it's real.
It's so wonderful. That story needs wider attention, and I'm so glad that you absolutely have given it that. And yes, I agree. Make her, basically be the face that launches the absolute voter ID movement.
Now, this is from Illiban News. The dateline is Mogadishu, November 15th, 2025. The launch by the National Independent Electoral Commission represents the most tangible step to date in the federal government's protracted campaign to replace Somalia's clan-based indirect voting model with a system of direct universal suffrage. In other words, one man, one woman, one vote, and we're going to secure it against fraud with voter IDs.
Okay.
Pretty freaking stunning. Well, it's happened. It's happened. It's happened.
But Somalians know how to game the system. And
that's true, too.
They have large experience with that.
Oh, ye of little faith. Princess Di is here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a few more of your calls. So if you're on hold, stay on hold. We're going to get right back, jamming to some calls with Princess Di and me, Bo Snerdley. Don't go away.
The James Golding Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. James Golding Show. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, folks, we're going to take some calls. We got to move quick here. So, I sent something to Princess Diana. I sent something to Nursey Nurse. I think I sent something to Lady Benedict and to America's Small Caffeinated Mom. And I debated whether I wanted to play it here because I don't do a lot of proselytizing, and this is not what this is meant to be. I am a person that welcomes people of God, of faith, of whoever, I welcome that on the show. But I try to limit, I don't want to come off like we're trying to proselytize. So I don't really try to stay close to that line. But this really disturbed me. It is a Presbyterian minister, and this is the address that she was giving part of the address that she was giving in her church. Her name is Rebecca Todd Peters. Now, I did some research on this woman, and I found another photo of her. She's standing in one photo in church with the vestment, that kind of shawl that they wear around the top of the robe. And on her vestment was the Planned Parenthood, and big as day. It was like a Planned Parenthood vestment, and she's wearing this in church. And so we're going to play some of it. And I just want you to hear what is going on in some of the houses of worship in America. This is, again, Reverend Rebecca Todd Peters.
If Jesus were here today, he would be a clinic escort, distracting women from the hatred of the protesters, or an abortion doula, holding women's hands and offering support and love as they end their pregnancies. And I expect He would have a stern word for self-righteous legislators who use abortion as a political issue rather than showing compassion for the people seeking abortions. Today, on this Roe Sunday, I wanted to share some of the stories we have collected because these are the sacred stories of women's lives. If Jesus were giving his sermon today, he might also have said, "Blessed are those who end pregnancies, for they will be known for their loving kindness." I have been pregnant 4 times. I have had 2 abortions, and I have 2 amazing children. Each of my reproductive decisions, to have children and not to have children, were sacred decisions because they reflect the moral responsibility of reproductive power that is part of our inheritance as human creatures.
Okay,
Each
enough.
of you
Princess, what was your reaction to hearing that?
Well, it's obviously a falsehood, and since she is going there, I'm going to quote the Bible, 2 Timothy, chapter 4. This is Paul writing to Timothy. "Preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, correct, rebuke, encourage with great patience and careful instruction, for the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths." And I think this woman is doing exactly that. Politically, that is the position of her side of the aisle. And so she is got her itching ears and her congregation's itching ears. And so that is my answer, is just to quote the Bible.
Okay. All right. Telephone calls. Dave in Pennsylvania. You got to make it quick. You're up next. How are you, Dave? Thank you for waiting.
Yeah, Reverend Dave absolutely rejects that woman. Now, why I called? Regarding these liberals that have their panties in a bunch and are obsessed with this meme about the racism. Are they not the same people that believe in the evolutionary paradigm, that think that mankind evolved from monkeys and are nothing more than an extension on the primate ladder, and reject the creation and the existence of God? Are they not the same people?
Let me see if I can answer that, and then I'll turn it over to Princess Diana. That might be one view of it. There's another view that views evolution as part of God's creation. Okay, for those that, so that's a very complicated thing. As for this meme, again, as a black person who has seen how this meme has been used in America particularly to support a racist view that black people are not human, are degraded down to the level of animals, there's the idea of intent. And I'm not going to countenance any excuses for what to me is a racist meme that should not be part of our political discussion in our political life in America, Dave. And I say that with all due respect to your position, by the way. And I respect that you have different thoughts on this, Dave. So I'll give you a chance to respond.
Well, I agree with you. I reject that totally. But
okay.
I don't. I think that it's just the idea that I'm kind of tongue-tied at this point. It's just that I don't think that evolution and creationism can be reconciled. It's either got to be one or the other.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Huh?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Well,
no, it doesn't.
Okay,
says who?
All right,
we're not the creator. You know what? In fact, we know very little about how creation, as much as we think we know, we don't know. Princess Di, I'm going to let you weigh on this. Thank you for the call, Dave. I really appreciate your call. Thank you so much for joining us. Princess?
Well, I think you have spoken for me yesterday and today on this issue, and I do think that your caller is bringing up something that is a completely separate issue. And so I think that this idea of wanting to attach hypocrisy but on the other hand, people saying, but the Democrats do X, Y, Z is a mistake. I think that this unfortunate post, do I think that Trump is a racist? No. Do I think that this post was a mistake? Yes. And he should have said so, and his administration should say so, that they absolutely reject any intention of comparing any human being to any animal ever. And so that needs to still be done. I think that this apology needs to be full-throated and forthright and immediate.
Wow. Barbara, in Ohio, you are up next.
Hi, James. I saw that meme and I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe that could come from President Trump, because throughout his business life as well as his political life, he has been known to be colorblind. And as president, he has done so much to help Americans, especially minority Americans who are underprivileged and haven't had enough opportunity, by increasing school choice, by putting out empowerment zones, by putting $1 billion towards the start of minority-owned businesses, etc. I believe someone in Trump's whatever, in his huge world, did this. I don't think he did it, and I don't think we've heard the last of what he has to say about it. And I have to say, yesterday, you had me cheering in my car because you talked about the Gosnell movie. And I saw that movie years ago with tears in my eyes. That Gosnell movie shows the worst kind of discrimination in America against black and minority babies being killed. The mothers were victimized. The children were killed. And so for this minister to stand up in her church and speak in a sacrilegious manner as if Jesus would be there destroying human life, I mean, one thing leads into another. But when you get down to it, all of this against minorities, against minority babies, Planned Parenthood. That's another thing that Trump is going against, Planned Parenthood.
Listen, and I so appreciate everything you say. The only reason I'm stopping you, we have to, because of the clock. Because we got to have time for Rhonda to come on. She's up next, America's Small Caffeinated Mom. I love you, and thank you for those comments. And Princess Diana, as always, what a blessing to have you on this program. We love you, and we appreciate it. Thank you, Princess Di.
You are the blessing, James. Thank you.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The James Golden Show, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And America's Small Caffeinated Mom, Rhonda Schrock, is here with us now. Good morning. Rhonda, what is on your mind this morning?
Good morning, James. Some years ago, actually quite a few years ago, I had a shift in perspective that was transformational in my life. And that is that one day I just spontaneously prayed a little prayer that went like this: ordain all of my appointments. And from that day on, it was like my eyes were suddenly opened, and I began to actually see the people that were around me, whether I was at the coffee shop, at the grocery store, wherever I was out in the world. I would see the person who was beside me, behind me, in front of me, and I just began to see them not as interruptions, but as appointments, as divine appointments. And I began to engage them. I began to just practice speaking to them, just drawing them out with questions about their life. If they were doing a great job, I would say that too. And my heart began to expand as I began to interact with the people who were around me. Well, I began to develop just an innate sense of the person in the room who was suffering, who was lonely, who was ostracized, marginalized, whatever. I could walk into a room, just look around for a little bit, and know which one was discouraged. And so if I had an opportunity and it seemed fitting, I would speak to that person. Well, one night, my husband and I, we had made plans with friends. We were going to go out for dinner. They canceled, and we unexpectedly ended up, out of all things, a Taco Bell in another town. We had not planned to be there. So we were standing at the counter waiting to place our order, and I noticed a trim blonde woman who was also in line, and she was twitchy. She was fidgety. She was just nearly vibrating. It was so bad it was noticeable. If I had to guess, she was probably strung out on drugs. And I just kept watching her because there was something about her that just pulled my heart and my attention. You know, James, that I'm a person of faith, and there are times when I expressly share it, but most of the time I don't. And again, in all my interactions with people and all that practice, I have learned to know when is the time to speak boldly and when is the time to just be, to keep it to myself. But at all times, I live my faith. Well, with this particular woman, she was in so much distress, it was like you could feel it. And I finally walked over to her, and I just said, I've been watching you, and I want you to know that God's heart for you is so big and warm and open. And she was stunned. She just looked at me, and she said, I can't believe it. I never talk to God. Well, so I said to her something I very seldom say to a stranger, and I just said, how can I pray for you? And she was nearly groaning. Her desperation was so deep and so black. And she said, I don't know. I took her face in my hands, and James, I do not do this to strangers, but I took that dear woman's face in my hands, and I said, I don't know your name, but he knows your name. Pain was leaking from her eyes and running down her cheeks, and she hugged me, and she said, thank you. She came over then, and she told my husband and I before she left some of her story, and it was heart-wrenching. And, James, I have had a son, and you know this too, out in the world, strung out on drugs. And what I wouldn't have given in those days for a mother to appear to him and say, I've been watching you. How can I pray for you? And God still knows your name. She melted in my hands, she melted in my arms, and she told me her name before she walked away. And I told her, God isn't mad. God isn't mad. He loves you. And she left. I still know her name, and I can still pray for her. It has been such a blessing to me to have these encounters, and that is one of the great gifts that our son's journey into the world of drugs and addiction that it gave me, because it taught me compassion and love for other people who were in the same situation. And I also learned to, every time I met someone, I would think there's someone else's kid. That is someone else's kid. And how would I want my son and my sons to be treated? It's been so instructive. I heard a teacher once say, you might be scared to teach a class, to teach somebody else, to get up in front and speak boldly about your faith or your beliefs, or you think you don't have anything to give, whether it's your faith or you think you don't have anything to give. If you have received a scrap of love, of kindness, of encouragement, of courage from someone else, you do have something to give, even if it's a scrap in your pocket. If something good has been given to you, then you have something to give. And really, we're obligated to give it. That scrap that we have in our pocket might be the very thing that the Angelicas out in the world who are right in front of you, that they need, that will keep them going for just one more day. Whether or not you believe like I do, you have received something good in your life, and so you have something good to give. We can't change the world all by ourselves. We can't. But just by sharing the little bit that we have, when we have the chance to share it, and it's always just in the course of our ordinary lives, James, I don't go an inch out of my way. These people come to me. It's been a happy parade, and it's been such a blessing. If they appear in front of you, you have something to give. Don't hoard the goodness to yourself. Share it, because it might be all the difference in the world for the person on the other end. That's what's in my pocket today.
I love that message. Don't hoard the goodness. Share it. Yeah. The scraps of goodness. And sometimes those scraps of goodness can be like a jewel to somebody that's looking for a moment of that inspiration in that moment. That's just a beautiful thought, Rhonda. Where can people find your essay?
It's on thedailybs.com and your columnist section.
And where can people find you?
I live in cyberspace at rhondaschrock.com, SCHROCK, and I'm so thankful for all the scraps that other people have shared with me, and their scraps were my gold nuggets.
You know, you sent me, and I hope you don't mind me talking about it because I didn't ask you permission first. You sent me a picture. You sent me 2 pictures of your son who went through the ordeal of drug abuse. You sent me his mug shot.
Yes.
And you sent me a picture today. They are they are so different. The picture you sent me of him today is just totally radiant. And then you look at the picture in the mugshot and you look at a person that is in the depth of just everything is wrong in my life. And this, almost the hopelessness just jumps right out at you. Yes. And it is, what a remarkable transformation.
Yes, it really is. And you're going to make my eyes leak, but it's so true. And we give thanks every day. And you know, there were people who came along and spoke those words of life and encouragement to him. And I will go to my grave with such gratitude in my heart.
Thanks for listening to The James Golden Show. You can hear The James Golden Show Saturday mornings at 7. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our country has to offer, especially health care. Across every state, every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.